to get back to the lineup a little bit, I wanted to ask, so you look at the fourth line. I think a lot of people have liked the fourth line, and then I'm talking about Dakota Joshua playing alongside Niels Amon and Curtis Lazar. I think that trio has looked good. They were also together at training camp. It's been a line that Bruce Boudreau likes to go with, but because of that being your fourth line, we are seeing Sheldon Dries play a third line center role right now with some more talented players, like whether it be a Nils Höglander, Vasily Podkolzin, and seems like Brock Besser's the one who's sticking there. Would you make adjustments to that fourth line to maybe give a little bit more firepower? Like, is Curtis Lazar moving up to play 3C an idea? Is Dakota Joshua, like he's played some center. He's been pretty good at being a playmaker, I think, in his fourth line role. Is there something you might want to mix up there with Sheldon Dries, or is he your best bet right now at 3C?
It is something that I've been wondering about. I think I wouldn't mind giving Lazar a couple more games just to really. I know he looked great in coming back to the lineup last game, but give him a couple more games to get his feet under him. Then at that point, I do think I would consider potentially shifting him up the lineup, especially because when I look at the current mix, even when it comes to the top line, for example, Horvat, Miller, and Garland, that line's played well in general, and they've created a lot of zone time. And I think Horvat and Miller work really well as north-south players. I just don't quite see the fit with Connor Garland yet. I know there's been flashes where he's been able to work in that spot, but it feels like there's been a lot of situations where that line will create some type of offensive possession, but Garland's maybe fumbling pucks along the walls or behind the net, and he just hasn't been able to make, I think, a consistent impact. I just don't see chemistry with Garland with those two guys yet. Horvat and Miller have been good enough to this point that it hasn't mattered, but I even wonder about that trio. I mean, you can obviously keep them together just because the team's been winning for now, but and I think that's the argument for keeping things intact for now is I completely understand letting things stay the way they are, but maybe in a couple of games, if you've lost a game here or there, I think you've got to rethink, even if it's that role. I mean, I think about Hoglander. We just spoke about what do you do with him as one last shot. I wouldn't mind giving him a run on that top line with Horvat and Miller in that spot, just because the one center that Hoglander's actually had success with in his NHL career is Bo Horvat. That was the trio that worked really well with Horvat, Pearson, and Hoglander in his rookie season. And I just haven't seen Hoglander fit that well with any other center to this point. So if there's one last shot you want to make for getting Hoglander back on track before you consider using him in a different spot, I'd consider maybe him in the Garland sort of role. And even with then Garland maybe figuring out a spot further down the lineup a little bit. Maybe it reinforces your third line. I just it feels like we're still one or two moves away. And with Sheldon Dry specifically, he's had his fair share of chances, but that line I think has struggled defensively. So I don't think we've quite found the right top nine fit yet. But I think we're just gonna have to stick with the status quo as long as the team's winning.